The site, known as Hadikatul Mahdi, sits among idyllic farms in the heart of Hampshire in the UK. For those of you who have seen the site on cameras through MTA but have not yet visited, we don't want you to feel left out. So we've arranged this virtual tour of the Jalsa site so that whenever you do see this tent city on your screens, you can find your bearings and be a part alongside everyone else attending the Jalsa. Hadikatul Mahdi is a large site that occupies 208 acres of Oakland Farm. A large portion of this is allocated each year for Jalsa Salana, which includes the multiple car parks and the Jalsa site divided among men and women. Last year alone, this site catered to 50,000 attendees, and the number is expected to grow. Thousands of cars, trucks, buses and heavy equipment park on the site across 2 large car parks, with further arrangements for workers, foreign guests, elderly and disabled. Guests from Battlefield Mosque and Jamia are brought over in large coaches. The core Jalsa site is divided amongst men and women. There's multiple entry locations for guests into the Jalsa grounds where guests are registered, and then using a series of pathways, people can navigate to various parts of the site. Following this path, we arrive at the location that hosts the Lavai Ahmadiyyat, as well as flags of countries that host Jamaats all over the world. The 2 large marquees in the middle are the men and women's Jalsa Gah. Both marquees can be seen at an angle because they are actually facing the Kaaba. This large marquee serving as the Jalsa Gah next to the flag area is among the largest in the world. Just the men's marquee alone is almost 150 meters long, and it can host thousands of people at a time. The size of these marquees is increased on an almost yearly basis to accommodate the ever-increasing number of people. The main Jalsa Gah is broken into sections for crowd control and caters for people to be seated on the floor and on chairs, as well as rows for offering their daily prayers. Chairs are generally reserved for guests that may struggle to sit on the ground, and the various delegations from around the world that require translation of the addresses being delivered into more than a dozen languages, all simultaneously. The stage at the head of the marquee is 12 meters wide, and behind the main table and lectern, you'll find seated many of the invited national presidents, senior missionaries, and heads of various central departments of Jamaat from all over the world. As we head back out, there's various marquees catering for all the overflow of guests. Parallel to the men's Jalsa Gah, on the other side of the flags area, is the third marquee, serving 3 large meals to all the Jalsa attendees for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Food is actually available to guests 24 hours a day on the site, and there's also arrangements in the adjacent marquees for guests with other dietary requirements. Almost 22 tons of flour is used over the Jalsa period to make bread for the guests, and all that flour is processed at the roti plant, based here among these buildings at the entrance to Hadikatul Mahdi. The adjoining buildings hold a kitchen and various stores of food and goods. There's also barns that house cows, chickens, sheep and other farm animals who have a permanent home here at Hadikatul Mahdi. Back on the main Jalsa grounds, there's various amenities and goods available for people to buy in the bazaar situated here. The area behind the main marquee is where you'll find the many wonderful exhibitions hosted at Jalsa, such as Maqsad-e-Tasavir, Review of Religions, the bookstall, and many others that guests can peruse in between the various sessions. This area opposite the 2 main marquees is where you'll find all the various MTA studios, as well as studios for Voice of Islam radio. There's facilities on site for special needs children, emergency medical support, and all amenities that Jalsa guests may be in need of. Overnight, Jalsa guests are housed both within and outside the Jalsa site over the Jalsa period. There's marquees for many guests to sleep in, as well as a large area dedicated to private tents that guests can bring themselves. There is so much more to the Jalsa site, such as areas that cater for press, external guests, meeting areas and sections dedicated to logistics of providing all manners of comfort and convenience to the thousands of guests in this city that is transformed from a farm in only a few days. So until you have the opportunity to come and view the site yourself, we hope this little tour has brought you a little closer to the Jalsa experience, and we hope you recognize some of these places as we go there with our live cameras. Stay tuned to MTA throughout the Jalsa period, and we'll ensure that we take you all over the Jalsa site from the comfort of your own home.